Faces and Places. Faces and Places. Places podcast.
Okay, hello everyone. We're in Porto. It's 9:34 in the morning, and today we have a very interesting guest, Damiano. Damiano, right?
Yes, I'm Damiano.
And today we're gonna talk about spirituality, and it's a guy who I've met on the street, and basically he did the tarot for me, so I was very curious about his life, and I thought that it's going to be a very interesting topic to listen. And I don't know the whole history of that guy, who he is. It's like the second meeting, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very interesting. So hi, Damiano.
Hello, Masha. Nice to be here.
How are you? How do you feel?
I feel excited what you want to talk about, and look forward to this amazing opportunity.
Yeah, I hope that you won't hear a lot of different sounds. Sorry for that. We're in the cafe, but it's also for you to feel the atmosphere of the city. Yeah, as I mentioned, we're in Porto, and now the tram is coming. Okay, so we're talking to Damiano, and my first question, as always, how do you consider yourself? Who are you in that life?
Who am I? That's a great question. I started following, and I came to the conclusion I'm many people, and above all, I'm asked to be myself, so I try to do that.
Myself, yeah, wow, that's an amazing answer. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I don't find that surprising, because these days we all try to be someone else instead of ourselves, because we are told, like, I don't know, be this superstar, this rock star, this president, banker, or whatever, but rarely nobody tells you be yourself.
Yeah, and we will tell to be yourself, guys. Those one who are listening to that podcast. It's very important, by the way.
Yes.
But maybe you can open to us a few of your personalities.
Well, recently, as you noticed, I sit in Porto, give tarot readings to people on the streets, just to give them a piece of light on their way ahead. Normally, the people who come to me have somehow lost the belief in themselves, the hope for their path ahead, or they need some kind of nudge to go their way, and then the universe sends you to me to hear whatever you need to hear to go your way and find your smiles. And I happily embraced that job, because it's just amazing. You sit on the streets, you make people happy, smile, and liberate them from whatever they carry and what hinders them from moving forward.
Yeah, do you usually tell them good things, or how do you tell them, if you see that on tarot, because it also happens, some bad things, or tarot is very kind and it never hurts people?
I sit there and tell people the truth. I try to make it as kind of as possible, because sometimes the truth is, hey, you keep fucking your head up, and that keeps you in a bad state, because you use your mind to make yourself small all the time. So the only solution out of this is to stop doing that and start making yourself big with your mind, because your mind is there to path your way ahead, and not to cut yourself and make yourself small. And in a way, that's a harsh message, but those people who come to me are ready to hear it that way, and then they are happy to hear, because they are making themselves small in their head, and that's their problem. So having someone who tells you that can liberate you. But that's why I like this the setup with the tarot, because the universe makes sure the people who come really are ready to hear that, and then I can just tell you the truth and know that you will receive it and smile from it, and not, well, in some cases you cry because it makes you happy.
It reminds me of someone.
But, they are happy tears, and I'm fine with them, and yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, and like that's the message you've told me as well. And I think nowadays, like the events in the world, like maybe politicians, like a lot of basically circumstances are making us small, and like letting us feel that strong fear and just block ourselves, like, and like do nothing, like basically just because of some fear and like I don't know, fear of the future. Yeah, I totally agree. So that's the notice of today's also podcast. Just feel big, yeah, feel like a big and great human.
Yes, and especially, you said it, if you look at the world, at news especially, there's all be afraid of this, be afraid of that, don't do this, hate this. And for me, there has emerged this kind of easy formula. If anyone tells you, be afraid of this, look at it and see what they want to hide behind the fear instead. Because fear is always there to hide something, which could be a truth that liberates you, but when I just point out the fear, you are too afraid to look, and you will keep running instead of looking at the truth you are running from.
Yeah.
So there's a system to this whole fear and hatred bullshit, because it creates these cycles where we make each other small and we stay small, instead of just empowering each other and liberating us.
Yeah, but we're huge, and everyone is like a unique creature of nature. That's basically what I started to realize last weeks, that how unique nature is, and at the same time we're creatures like of the nature, so like each of us is also like unique, and we have to realize it, like to don't be that small creatures, but like huge, and like respect ourselves and others, like to don't let anyone feel like that. That's why we're recording that podcast. Yeah, just to let you understand that. Okay, tell me, how did you start your journey with tarot? Like, was it from the beginning of your life, or like it just recently happened to you? How did you meet them? How did they come to you?
Funnily, I was reminded last summer that I had a tarot deck when I was a kid somewhere in high school already, because back then I dipped my toes in those topics, but somehow I decided I just stay on the science side, because that was my safe zone. I understood science, it made sense, and
but which kind of science? Which like
science, everything.
Everything.
Okay. I started with like 6 years teaching myself how to read, and then I went to the public library reading through physics, chemistry, whatever I could get my hands on to learn about the world, literally. And I stayed in the science world for quite a long while until...
How old are you?
I'm 36.
36?
Yes.
Oh. Wow, it doesn't look like that, honestly.
Yeah, that's a funny shift that happened, because back then when I was the science guy, I always looked like 10 years older, and these days it has kind of reversed. That's a funny shift that came with this shift, but at some point last year, we have to wait for the Trump. There was this point where the universe literally was telling me, like, hey, yeah, your science world is fine, but quantum physics opens up so many doors in so many other dimensions that have energy, and now we're gonna open up those doors and we're gonna explore them. And a month later, I got my first tarot deck again and started exploring. And to be honest, then last month, 2 months ago, there was this phase where I was tired of corporate jobs, wanted to do my own thing, and was sitting there like, how can I make some money from all the things I have? And there was this little voice in my head telling me, like, just do tarot readings on the streets. that works for you, and it works for me, and it brings people happy smiles, it gives healing, and it's amazing.
Yeah, just to explain that, like, Damiano is, we've met, on the street, and like he's just doing tarot and giving people smiles and happy tears, I would say.
Yes, I hope so, at least.
Yeah, maybe sometimes they're like a bit, bitter, but happy tears taste much better.
Yes. Sometimes they are like the regret that you collected for not taking decisions that would have made you smile, and then at some point you realize, hey, I could have all these smiles, but I kept myself from having these smiles. So they are good tears because they let all that regret that you just collected and put somewhere on a big mountain go away.
Yeah, okay, just a second. That's what we're gonna cut. Do you think that it's important, like, to cry and to have that catharsis, or it's possible just to have only smile in your life?
Tough question. I think even when you only have smiles, there are also tears, because I learned a certain degree of smiles automatically makes you cry. But you cannot really fully enjoy and explore life if you only see the happy side. So that's why we move in these cycles, so we can experience both sides always. And that's the part we keep forgetting. It's important to see both sides, to have the whole picture. And when we just focus on the bad or the good sides, we cut half of the picture away, and we cannot integrate everything we've learned because we cut out half of the experience.
Yeah, because like if we have, for example, only white side, and if we are not gonna put the black like close to that, we won't realize that it's white, right?
Yes, if you look at a photo, if you have a photo that's just pure light, it's boring. If you have a photo that's pure black, it's boring. You need both light and shadows to make a photo and a composition that creates a beautiful image. And that's kind of what this world does. We just need to take the perspectives that, make us see this middle path and not only one side of the coin.
Yeah, so like you're basically the scientist. So like a lot of scientists doesn't like believe on spirituality and like the tarot, and they say that it's like all of that, it's like the lie, and there are no scientific proofs of that. Mm-hmm. Like, do you have any proofs, like, to explain people why it works, or like, because like for me, tarot, it's not even about predicting your future, or like, it's more about cards for letting yourself like deep dive inside yourself and find that answer. Am I correct, or it works like in a different way?
No, that's
how
exactly
does it work?
What it does, and why I smile about people who ask, like, can you predict my future? Yes, in a way, I also could do that with the cards, because future is kind of this unrealized potential we carry in front of us, which can also be read like the now. But the far more valuable thing is to get this mirror of yourself in the now that shows you the things that you don't want to look at, because that's something we consciously or subconsciously do. There are things inside that we don't want to look at and that block us from moving ahead because we don't want to acknowledge them as being there. So that's in the end what the cards do. I read your energies in a way, project them into cards, and those cards make up a story that then helps you to see those things you don't want to see and accept them, so you can work on them and overcome them. Mm-hmm. And
but do you think that our like destiny and the future is predicted already, or we can change it? Like how in that world it works? Because I don't know, for example, the thing that we're sitting, like that we've met on the street and like that we're sitting here, was it like already predicted, or still like, it's kind of, I don't know, or it wasn't like predicted, like
it's kind of predicted, but it's more premediated. The universe gives you opportunities based on what frequency and energies you carry and embody that will help you on your way ahead to unfold your being in the end, to learn what you need to learn and to have the experience that your soul decided to have in the end, to learn the things she wants to learn. And that means the universe will kind of take care of creating opportunities and then give you the choice what you make out of those opportunities. And there's kind of where this angel devil part on your shoulders comes in, because every time you have one of these opportunities, you have the good opportunities whispering in one ear, and then you have your fears and whatever whispering into your other ear and being like, no, don't do this. And then we can decide which of these two voices to follow, either on ways that liberate us or ways that put us deeper into our cages. And that's how we kind of decide for ourselves whether we want to create heaven or hell for ourselves.
How to understand, like, where is which voice? Because sometimes, it's hard to understand, like, which part of us we have to listen.
Yes and no. Yes and no. We try to listen to so many of these voices and think they are the ones and become confused. But in the end, that's what clarity is. Finding the one voice inside of you that stays there when you send away all other energies, kind of. That's been literally one of my main processes for the last year, cleaning and purifying my energy by sending everything away that's not me in many ways, and doing it over and over again to just crystallize out this part of me that is me. But if we don't do that, we carry all those voices of people who tell us what we should be and how we should be and whatever, and then we have this mix of voices in our head that we are completely confused about because we think they are all us, and that makes this game a bit harder because we haven't learned to really filter and purify our inner voice a lot. So
okay, it's about basically what you've said from the beginning, like about being yourself.
Yes.
And like listening to your own voice. Yeah, it's really hard, like, because, like, for example, we grew up with our parents, which are always kind of were a part of our voice, and it's quite often like talking inside of us. And it's really sometimes hard to realize if it's my voice or it's like my dad saying that for me.
There's a simple rule of thumb that gives you a clear hint in most cases. Is it a voice that makes you small, tells you cannot do something, you are not worth it, or whatever? Then it's someone else's voice, because you can do it, you are worth it, and whatever you want to achieve, you can achieve. You just want to have to go there. And
I have goosebumps now,
yes,
because
you know it's the truth. That's the funny thing about keeping to your truth and speaking it. Other people know you're speaking the truth, and that's kind of my whole trick. I just keep speaking the truth, and that way people actually just feel it's the truth. And it has been one of the most amazing upgrades in my life, because there were times when I was sitting there trying to explain the world to people and going mad because they don't want to listen, and nobody wants to understand, kind of. And that puts you in weird places. But at some point I learned by just being and honestly being yourself. This game changes so much because you don't need to explain all these things, because people just know they are right. And then it becomes so easy.
Mm-hmm. Great tip. And so, like, why Portugal? Because you're not Portuguese, right?
No. My guides and stuff, all these ephemeral entities are quite active, and were quite active even before I realized. Looking back, I noticed how my YouTube recommendation algorithm, for example, was influenced in certain ways to show me certain content that makes me think about certain things, and that certain patterns and stuff. It's amazing. And one of the things was an Instagram ad when I was tired of Germany and the situation there, being like, hey, come to Lisbon, work for, I don't want to name company name, enjoy Lisbon and get an apartment for us for call center work in the end.
Well, is it teleperformance?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that ad. High teleperformance, your targets works well.
Yes, and in my case, they work for the Universe because Universe wanted me to be in Portugal, but not with teleperformance. So I had to take the opportunity to come to Portugal and then realize I want to stay in Portugal and do other things. Yeah, later I was asked to move to Porto, which happened in more subtle ways, but by then I had to learn to listen to those guys giving me my orders from above, and things became easier. But yeah, that's how I came to Portugal and learned that I'm following a path that I'm not aware of following and should become aware of.
So for how long are you staying here? Like
a bit
since
over
when?
2 years now.
2 years?
I came in August 2020,
Okay.
in the middle of the pandemic.
Whoa, so you might really like that amazing country.
Yes, it's amazing. I'm not lying when I say Portugal is a magical country.
It is. I totally understand what you mean. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So you've started your tarot experience like around 1 year ago. Of course, you had the signs, yes? Who were you before? Like, what did you do? And yeah, that's the first question. Like, what did you do before? And the second question, if you were happy with that, what you've done before.
From my sciencey background, I went into bioinformatics at university, which didn't happen in the end because of political games with study fees and stuff, where my parents were, oh, it's too expensive. So I dropped that one, became a programmer in the end, and went on a journey as an IT consultant in fancy companies, where I learned many things and ignored the one most important thing, which was like, technology isn't your thing to work with, humans are your things to work with. But I was this guy, I was sitting in technology and trying to understand the human decisions happening around me, and went crazy on them and went down bad rabbit holes of darkness that made me learn lots of things about myself. But yeah, in the end, it was this wave of new projects, amazing new perspectives, and then slowly sinking back into a reality of, no, this is kind of the same corporate swamp I am used to, and the swamp doesn't want to be cleaned, so let's just move to somewhere else. And after several of those attempts, my 2019 was not so great. Like, it started with my sister and dad dying with 4 weeks apart, and then everything else went the same direction. And at the end of 2019, I was running around with a camera in the forest, being like, worlds, just let me be, and I take pictures and photos, and you do your stuff, I do my stuff. And yeah, that was my happiness in Germany. No, not that much, because I completely was living against my own design, kind of. Not against, but I was not fully embracing my own human design, and not doing what I was here to do for. So, yeah. And sitting on the streets giving people healing changed that a lot.
Yeah, but maybe thanks that experience, like now you are here as well, like, yeah?
Yes.
So you weren't really happy with that, and that's basically also like the question, if like those corpus, like corporations big, which are getting people like and who work for us, can we say that's like it's bad or good, for example? Because like for me it's like something like when you go into corpo, kinda I feel that people are losing the feeling of the taste of the life, because they're kind of becoming a bit robotic, and it's like it makes us small because it's hard to feel big, like being just a small part of the huge corporation, for example. So like how to survive then?
Well, it's not per se good or bad. It's a beautiful thing about us humans. We create many tools and then we can decide how we use that tool. Kitchen knives are the best example. I can make you beautiful dinner with a kitchen knife or stab the neighbor. It's the same tool. I just decide how to use it. The same goes for corporate entities. If I run a corporation where my goal is to keep the status quo and protect my power, I just create an environment where I keep people small and be wheels inside this machinery that I control. That's, puts people in cages, makes them little hamsters in wheels, and they run the big machine. That's not a healthy way to live, because it means you, in almost every case, it means there's a human not living anywhere close to his or her potential, and it's, in the end, a waste of human potential, to be harsh. And then there are corporate entities which are a bit rare, which try to counteract this and enable people to live their potential and unfold. They are great entities and help humanity a lot, but they are a bit rare and not spoken about that much, because that would give other people too much of a perspective how things could be different, and then those little hamster wheel cages start hurting and people don't want to be there anymore. So you have to control the narrative and not go too deep into that rabbit hole to keep the system running and these things. So it's not corporations per se that are bad, it's how we use them to enable or disable people that makes them bad in the end. But at the moment it's more the state of what you said, keeping people small and making them part of some machinery that's inhuman.
Yeah. Wow, nice point. Like it. You had to work with like technology as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what is like more interesting to work with, like machines or people? Like, of course I know the answer, but like how that conception works, like working with machines and like with the technology and working with people.
To be harsh, there's no difference, because we are also kind of machines.
But the machines were created by humans, isn't it?
And who created humans?
Yeah, so like it's like a closed circle. Yeah, but I don't think about it. But yeah, answering to my question, like, is it easier to work with like technology and machines? I think it's kind of have its own script, so it's easy to follow. But humans, I don't know if it's predictable.
In isolation, technology is easier, but the point is you never work in isolation on technology, because it's so complex. You always have other humans working on technology too. So that kind of mixes up the whole game and comes to the same conclusion. You always have humans working there who have no clue what they are doing, but have some kind of authority, title or whatever that says I am allowed to make decisions, even though I have no clue about those decisions in any technical way, and thus also no scope about the consequences of my decisions. But my title says I have the authority, so I make this decision, and that doesn't work. So yeah.
Okay, I got it. Cool. Well, then I have to. That's my favorite topic. I would like to talk about money.
Money.
Yeah, because it's very interesting topic, like in regards to the energy itself. Mm-hmm. Because, for example, like doing the tarot, like you have the fixed price for that. Is it like important, like to give something back? Like why it's important to give something back instead of like I don't know, just using that opportunity to have the tarot? Or like, is it easy to earn from that? It's just like an energy for you, or like how do you treat money itself?
Well, that's quite simple. I tried this approach of just giving away all this healing I have to offer in other ways that were not tarot before, and not asking anything in return. And that just leads to a situation where I was sitting on a beach with a tent, no money at all, and having to figure out how can I survive in a world that requires money to survive. And yeah, my way out, the universe proposed was doing tarot, but in the end also, when someone gives something and you don't give back, you create an energetic imbalance. And that's something the universe also doesn't like too much. So you start accruing karma or other things that will make you pay in the end, in some way, shape or form, because you're taking energy without giving anything back. And that doesn't work. So if I just sit there and give people, they go away with bad karma in the end and have shit happen in the end because it wasn't any kind of balanced exchange. So I'm sitting there taking money while being aware that if you look at what I give the people for 10 euros in the end in a reading, it's in many cases a year of therapy or something around that ballpark. So the people get a good deal, and I still have enough money to survive and make my way and find my way at the moment. So I think it's a good deal so far.
So like, is it enough to survive just doing what you do?
It's enough to learn it at the moment because on good days I really make good money, and on bad days, then like the last 2 days I make nearly no money due to weather or other things, and then you have the ups and downs we were talking about earlier, to learn different things about money that I haven't learned before yet. So let's learn them in a very quick succession with 2 to 3 day cycles. And that's currently what's happening. But I'm at this point where I can sustain myself, and I can have food and smoke and have my coffees on nearly every day. So it's better than most corporate jobs I had, especially in Portugal, which is sad and amazing thing I learned. I make more money with what I do now than I did for Portuguese companies normally, because their wage level is kind of abysmal.
Oh, that's interesting. But do you think that just to don't so just to don't be afraid to lose money, like just to don't be afraid of money. I just hear somewhere that I quote that you have just to lose them. Is it true? Like, is it true that, because for me, money, it's like great, like opportunity just to see the world, to share that with people, and so on and so on. I don't know, also have the comfort life, to be happy maybe more with some things. But at the same time, like when you don't appreciate the small things without them, it's like, I think, way harder to appreciate them later. Like, that, is it true that like we have to be happy from the beginning without them to appreciate like them in our lives? How that concept works for you or not?
Definitely, because before I could even make money, I had to transmute so many blocks and perspectives about money for myself. I, in the end, come from this very anarchist, money is evil perspective, and I despised and hated money for a very long time, and had to come to the point to accept money is a tool like everything else, and it's up to us to decide how we use money, or how you put it. Money is just energy in the end. And since I took that perspective, and then also with the happiness part started accepting, when I'm not happy for myself, money doesn't change that. When I had my jobs in Germany being a consultant, you get good money, but even that good money didn't really make me happy, because it was just money and not happiness. And
they were kind of empty inside, right?
Yes, exactly. It's just hollow money in the end, and hollow energy. If you create it without passion, it has no passion inside. So you cannot trade it for passion, because your passion has to come from your inside. And once it's there, you learn that it's not about money or whatever, and that money is just a great enabler and tool on that path, but not necessary. So.
Yeah, that's basically how it. That's like, while you were saying that, that's what I realized, that even working in corpo, like, I was also getting like okay money, I would say. Like it's I wouldn't say that it's never enough for me, but I always want more, just to be able to like also share with people, and like to accumulating that energy. But like, they were kind of like, I was spending for flat, for like studies, that, and they were just disappearing, just easily. But when you get money, like with the energy inside, it's just like, they're more stable in your life, and like you attract more and more. So it's kind of interesting system, I would say.
Yes, but I would even dare to call it not stable. It's just flowing more freely, so you just have easier access to the flow.
Yeah, you are right. But how to attract money in your life? Or to attract them, we shouldn't attract them.
That's something very essential I've learned with my tarot journey. When I sit there and I'm sitting there with the pure intention of let me make money. There will be no money, or the universe will normally be kind enough to give me the amount of money that I just need to get by. If I sit there and tell the universe, hey, I'm sitting here with all my healing, whoever needs this healing or wants to support it, send them to me, then people show up.
So, like in real life, like how fast that thought works in universe? Because I think sometimes it takes more time, sometimes it just like coming, recently, like at the moment.
Yeah, it's normally takes some time. Like that's something I've learned about my work. I need to sit there for an hour to two to have like my light shine far enough for people to come, and then the flow of people is there and they will come. And that's good. Doing it instantly rarely works. I had this weird occasions where I really was in shit and went into funny states, and then my phone suddenly rings and people I was waiting for to call me because I needed a place to sleep were suddenly there after hours of not being there. But those are rare occasions, and you need to be in real distress for the universe to be like, okay, let's make it like this.
Interesting. And okay, like I have still few more questions, because, for example, first question: is it if I have like my own tarot? Is it okay if I will also share with my experience with someone that's like, oh, I've heard that from tarot or that, or it's better to keep only for yourself? Because, like there are some people who are scared to tell about their plans, like until they happen, or like share with their, like, I don't know, spiritual, for example, experience or something. Is it like, how does it work? Is it necessary to keep it for yourself, or like if we want to share, we can share? how like it works in that universe.
Well,
I think that did you understand my question? Yeah.
in general, the only thing that can keep you from sharing something is your own fear of not being allowed or good enough to share something. So,
Yeah.
especially with everything that involves belief, for me, the formula is quite simple. If you're too afraid that someone else's opinion can change your belief, you will keep it for yourself. As I said, this guy, I know I speak my truth and I stand for the things I say, so I just go out with them. I was running around with a pink unicorn cup for years at work, and in today's society, when a guy runs around with a pink unicorn cup, that, especially from other guys, incites funny reactions. Let's put it that way. And I was always having fun with these things because I'm in the camp when a pink unicorn cup for you is something that kind of threatens your manliness. The cup isn't the problem. And that's the same with everything else.
But is it possible that someone gonna have a bad eye or something? Like how that bad eye works in universe, or it's basically it's not a bad eye in someone, but basically on us.
That constantly happens. Even if you don't do tarot, I don't know. You are a girl. How many guys look at you jealous when you walk there with a guy and
I don't know.
are like, oh, I would like to be that guy or whatever. All these little thoughts of, I don't think you deserve your happiness or whatever that we throw at other people are kind of these evil eyes we talk about and give bad energies to people. So that's something you even do without doing tarot. If you just do tarot, you get it on a different level from other people. But that's the beautiful thing about what I said earlier with purifying your energies, because they are other people's energies. You don't need to carry them. The universe knows that. So if you tell the universe, those other people's energy, please go home, they will go home.
How to purify that?
As I just told you, you really, literally just need to tell the universe, energies that don't serve me, go away.
Okay.
And if you close your eyes and really do that with the command of your energies, because you've accepted you are your own energy and in command of your energies, the energies will literally just do that, and you will feel little tingling feelings that make bad energies fly away.
Okay, so basically we just have to make a request and
Yes.
it's gonna happen. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Another thing regarding the tarot, for example, because I think that there are some people who are going too far with spirituality. Now I will explain what I mean. For example, maybe it's not, it's impossible to go too far, because like spirituality is like, how to say?
Omnipresent?
Sorry?
Omnipresent?
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, there are some people who are, I don't know, doing the tarot and they're really like believe on that without making the actions. And there are people who don't believe at all and not trying to find the answers on themselves, just, you know, just doing actions and not trusting the universe, I would say. And like for me, it's very important just to balance, like to understand that it's not like that tarot will show you the future and you will sit and wait until it happens. But you have to make some actions, because I think you understand what I mean. Because sometimes people just trying to put the responsibility on something, like, I don't know, some course of meditation they make, and they think that something gonna like change in their life without making any actions. And it's like in the opposite. There are some people who don't believe at that at all, and like don't trust the universe. And I think that basically that's the ascension, just to find the balance, like to make those actions but also like to see how it's gonna work, and like to trust the universe. Like, am I right, or like is it possible to go too far, like with that spirituality, and just to lose control of everything?
I absolutely agree with you. I wouldn't call it going too far with spirituality, because what you mean is, my favorite example is, Reiki.
Yes.
It's like energy healing, and in the end, when you learn that, you know basics about energy healing and how to keep yourself and others in high vibrational frequencies. So I met this guy along my path. Who, one of the first things he told me was he has a Reiki 2 degree, which is good. But then he lives a quite low vibrational life of being kind of an alcoholic and completely away from the things that he would be enabled to. So that means he took that course to get his degree, but he never integrated the wisdom and knowledge he got from it. And then you have these situations where your theoretical level and your practical level diverge, because you never integrated the things you learned.
Yeah.
And there are lots of those people, yes. And coming from the other end, that was more my path, like following my own self and calling without having a course or training to do that, and just finding it from that approach, which meant I just went through these cycles of changing and integrating until I found this path on my own.
Yeah, because basically we can have the knowledge of something, like of our future or like anything, but if we are not going to do anything with that, nothing going to happen, right?
Exactly. If you don't integrate what we've learned and thus make sure that what we've learned carries forward in your actions and into your future, then you will just run in circles and doing the same things over and over again until you've learned. That's kind of how karma works.
Yeah. What do you think about retrograde Mercury?
Oh, I love this guy. I'm very amused about it because currently it seems like retrograde Mercury is creating a lot of tension in relationships with unequal healing states. Let's put it that way. Other perspective or way to put it, I have lots of women coming at me crying that the guys don't want to heal. And I'm like, yeah, that's his decision. Nobody but him can change that in the end. That's one of the sad things you learn as a healer. You can be able to heal everything, but as long as the other person isn't willing to heal, it doesn't matter.
You know, that's the same words my friend Angelina told me in the podcast. Like, I'm not healing people until they want that. Like, until they want to use that energy to heal themselves. Because it's not me healing, it's like I'm helping like their energy to heal them. Yes. Because it's like in real also world, like if someone need a help, like the person has to like ask or like have the request of the help, but some people just prefer to stay in that like in that position that's like, yeah, I'm like poor guy or poor girl. So it's like they feel comfortable with that and they don't really need the help. So yeah.
They would need it in theory, but they don't want it because they prefer to have these excuses.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned about myself, because I can give you my hands for 20 minutes and send away everything that isn't you and unfold you as much as you can. Then you feel liberated for a while. But if you decide to just throw yourself into the mud again and crumble everything up, it just takes 2 days to revert all of that healing because you don't want it.
Yeah.
And some people just, it's like having little plush teddies that you want to cuddle and hug and you need them. So some of the demons are your plush teddies and you don't want them to be taken away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen in TikTok that there are some people who are making the tarot like via TikTok. I don't know if you've seen that. How does it work? Like, is it like possible that it's like work in the proper way, or like, because it's like kind of funny for me. Like, does the tarot has to be like personal to each person, or it also can work like while you are watching the YouTube, like the tarot for you? Or
I haven't watched TikTok tarot yet. I've heard it's quite popular on TikTok, and it's on my to-do list to maybe enter that market too.
you can make it. For example, if I'll ask you, maybe we won't do that. Maybe we will. Like, to make the tarot, like, I don't know, 3 cards for people who are listening to that podcast. Mm-hmm. Is it gonna like work somehow in their life? How
Yes.
how it's influenced, how it's connected?
It's in the end quite easy. It's energy. So okay, I guess TikTok is full of humans. So there will be several people who just got a tarot deck and put cards and tell people bullshit. But in the end, if you are someone doing tarot reading like me, it just means you connect to an energy, and energies are independent of time and space in the end. So it doesn't matter whether you're sitting here or on the other end of the globe. If I want to connect to you energetically and you are fine with that, I just connect. And the same goes for these kind of collective online readings. I myself have some YouTube readers that I use for my external input, because the amazing thing is they just sit there, read a collective energy and do a reading based on that. And that means you will have a lot of messages tangled up normally, but some of those messages are meant for you. And in some cases, whole readings are meant for you, depending on how important it is for the universe to get a message through to you. But to give an analogy, if you do collective reading as a tarot reader, you just are like, okay, all those guides from my viewership and following tell me the messages that need to be delivered, and then I separate them in 3 piles so we can get the people kind of sent to the right messages in the end. And then you do 1 mailbox with these messages, 1 mailbox with those messages, and 1 with those, and the people will organically find the right messages for them, and they will be delivered. So and especially if it's one-on-one readings, they easily work remote.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like sometimes it can be bullshit, sometimes not.
Yeah, like with everything.
Okay, yeah, it's about the energy. But how to like you as a scientist, can you prove somehow that like energies which we explode like to the world, that they works, like that they exist? Is there any example, like in simple way, how to explain people that it works?
We are in this funny situation where science has stopped at the points where the next steps would kind of give those answers, because we are too afraid to get those answers. If you look at quantum physics, there are lots of examples of strange things and mechanisms in the universe on a level that we completely do not understand, like things being a particle and a wave at the same time and having properties of them both, while in theory one property excludes the other, and that creates funny effects. And based on these mechanisms, I can give you quite detailed explanation of how tarot and in general energy healing works based on quantum entanglement and using properties of quantum entanglement and energetic resonance and stuff. In the end, it's not that hard. We just stopped going further because it would be, especially in the biology department, it would be also very costly, because a lot of pharmaceutical stuff is based on not going further. And if you look at the rest of science, you can notice quantum was kind of incepted in the early 1900s. Then chemistry picked it up quite quickly. So in the 50s, 60s, we had a stable understanding of quantum chemistry. And the next step would have been to take that knowledge and apply it to biology. But if we do that, pharma collapses, for example, among other things. So we never did that science. For some weird reasons, there never was funding and interest to go into questions like, how does quantum chemistry affect our DNA? And these days we go a bit into epigenetics, which is kind of going in that direction because we will notice that our genome is kind of a magnetic resonator expressing things based on multidimensional input of energies. And yeah, that's what epigenetics is starting to tell us, but we are too afraid to really tap into that because at that point we can realize, hey, it's genes and we can use them to express positive things in our bodies or negative things. And the funny truth that people don't tell us is it's up to your command to tell your genes what to do. And that's exactly what you do with all your thoughts all day and everything. So that's why, for example, you start looking less old when you start accepting more and start treating yourself nice and start telling your genes that way express nice things. Then you become younger again. And
so is it possible? Like to, yeah, basically, I think you're right because, for example, if today when I was coming here, I was like, well, I wear again like some kind of manly clothes, like the jeans, the like shorts, and so I was like, yeah, basically it's not about how like what I wear, it's how I feel. If I feel feminine, even in I don't know, in smoking, like not smoking, but like in suits, like men's suit, I will like look feminine. It's like about how you feel and how you express yourself. Yes. It's not about like your clothes and like the visual part of it. It's like still I think people can feel that like energy from you, and that's more important than just clothes.
Yes, it's kind of the same. If you need your clothes to be pretty, it means you don't feel pretty inside. So the clothes don't help in the end. If you have accepted yourself like you do, you can just radiate out your beauty wearing whatever you want.
Yeah. It was like very funny because yesterday I was like watching some Instagram stories, and the thing which I've seen, it was like completely unacceptable for me, and I became very angry because, for example, I don't have anything against, I don't know, surgeries or whatever, but I think that the person like have to work first of all with themselves, like inside, to figure it out, and maybe then like make the surgery like just as, how to say, addition like to something, like to feel of course like more comfortable with themselves and so on and so on. It's like with clothes, yeah, we can buy like amazing clothes, but like after we already feel like good with ourselves. And yesterday I've seen the story of one clinic where they say, if you want to change your life, girl, start with your lips. And I was like, if you want to feel prettier, start with that. And I was like, seriously? That's what you want? Like, that's the message you want to tell to the girls? Like, it's not gonna solve any, like, problem. It's maybe for a while, but maybe we have to start, like, with ourselves, like, with accepting ourselves. And then, like, we can make that's like bigger leaps or whatever, but I think we cannot start from the, you know, from the outside, but like from the inside. That's the best like work, how it can work. It's like the best way how it can work. Yes. So
I would just cross the maybe from that sentence because it's not a maybe. It is like that.
Is.
And in the end, that's one of the absurdest mirrors of today's society, because we have invented this easy way of how can you fix your outside if your inside isn't in acceptance of yourself. So these days it's easier to just book a surgery that will alter your outer appearance based on I give money to change it in whatever way, shape or form someone else tells me looks pretty, instead of doing the inner work of accepting yourself as you are.
Yeah, because, also like when I was walking here today and like yesterday, I realized, that's what I was saying about the nature. That's like, it's very unique and it's like very beautiful, and it's the same with us. Like there is a kind of shape which like someone created, we don't know who, and people are following it. So like they become, everyone become beautiful in the same way. And there is no unique at all. But for example, when you go to see the nature, you see how different is it and how it's like accumulating with each other, and it's like, I don't know, it's like altogether it works much more beautiful even. So like we have to remember that's like, that's the message I also want to say. That's like we are unique, and it's like we have to start like from inside, like.
But I would oppose you in one thing.
Yeah.
People don't become more beautiful by doing that. They become more pretty or aesthetically pleasing or whatever, but not beautiful, because beauty is a package that involves more things than just the shape of your nose or whatever. It's something that includes the inside and all the other layers too.
Yes, please remember about it, dear listeners. Is it possible to get one card for our listeners?
I need to dig in the depth of my backpack.
Yeah, if it's possible, of course. I don't want to push. I think like it will become, more intimate maybe for our listeners, like when we will get that special card for you.
Okay.
So guys, get prepared.
So let's grab one card as a message for the listeners.
Why are you laughing? What does it mean?
Because it's the perfect two cards matching this whole podcast. In the end, the message is, if you follow what we talked about, you will find liberation and can lose these chains and just enjoy the trumpets in heaven, because you found your strength.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so like that card, like if they, how they matched?
Well, this is judgment, which is this point of self-liberation and losing your chains and being free.
Yeah.
And this one is strength, which stands for this inner strength you gain from going through all the struggles and learning. Yes, there are all these struggles I'm going through, but they only make me stronger. And since there were lots of struggles, I gained lots of strengths, and that's what the universe gave me by having me go through all these challenges.
Yeah, wow. And how to like not believe to that? Like it's just you know what I mean. Okay.
Yes, that's so funny. Every person so far that came to me asking like, how's this legit, was convinced after the first one or two cards that I drew, and just was like, this.
Yeah.
I mean, you know this game, you had it, I pulled the card, and then I know things about you that a random stranger shouldn't know. 100%.
It was like the perfect, the perfect match, and it's different from everyone. Okay, the last question. It's kind of controversial.
Ooh, I love controversial questions.
Sex or tarot?
Why do they exclude each other?
It's just like our, question, like from the magazine, but which we always ask.
Let me put it that way. Random sex and tarot don't work with each other because this whole tarot game only really works when you keep your energies clean, and that doesn't work with having just random sex with everyone, because that's kind of the deepest way to exchange energies and the most persistent one. So you need to be very selective about that one if you want to follow the profession which I
think even with the profession which you have or without, like, we have to be selective.
We should, yes, definitely. That's one of the big points we keep missing. But I have the point of I'm kind of bound to follow those kinds of rules because I want to keep doing this job. It's too much fun.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, it's tarot.
Tarot, okay, yay. Okay, that's it. Thank you for the podcast. I even don't remember what we were talking about because it was like an amazing flow we had. I will listen to that again.
I'm looking forward to it. It was lots
thank
of
you
fun.
So much. Yeah, like I've really enjoyed it. Done.
Faces and places. 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 Faces and places.